Hassan in Slough in Berkshire, how do you react to what you're hearing from the Tories at the moment?
I'll come to the multicultural aspect and what Suella Braverman said. But in terms of the class war, I personally don't think that I'm a conservative myself.
Hold on. Culture war.
Class and culture war.
Okay.
Both. They're being accused of igniting class war as well as culture war. Now, in terms of culture war, I think it is about ending culture wars rather than starting it. So you may recall when the Sewell report came out a few years ago, there was a big controversy around it. The authors were attacked because the report was celebrating the progress that BAME communities had made. That should not have been a wedge issue. In terms of the class war, the VAT in schools, which Labour wants to abolish now, the VAT exemption.
VAT on private school fees, which is going to be abolished. Sorry, it's going to be imposed by Labour. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And the critics of the Tories are saying that, the Tories are only supporting the upper class because they're into private education. In fact, it's the complete opposite. The VAT exemption is actually helping thousands, if not tens of thousands of children from poorer families to go into private schools. And if that facility is abolished, they're going to come back out of the private system and the future will be curtailed. So it's the other way around. Labour are attacking the lower class, so the very people they were meant to represent. So I'm a One Nation Tory, so I'm fully agree with John Major when he said that he does not believe in he wants to see a classless society, and that's what we should aim for. In terms of Suella Braverman...
so your point is that Labour is opening class war by removing the charitable exemption of private school education, which is actually helping poor children to go to private school, and also actually saving money because those who send their children to private school are, not using the state system and they're paying for their children's education twice.
Yes, exactly. It is about upskilling and leveling up, inverted commas, those children. So the Tories are actually providing opportunities for the people who consider themselves lower class or working class, whatever, so they can be upgraded. These are wedge issues, but there should be issues where all political parties should be united and not wedge issues. So you would have heard about the leak for the proposed idea to ban smoking, Prime Minister Sunak's idea. That should not be a wedge issue. That should be policy, obviously, but there should be cross-party initiatives to support the Prime Minister on the ban on smoking eventually. So that's how I see it. There are wedge issues, but there are also issues where all political parties should be united. Now, finally, the multiculturalism aspect. I have not listened to all of Suella Braverman's speech, but I would say this.
You heard a little clip that we played. Maybe you didn't hear it, but she talked about the pressure that's going to be placed on schools and especially secondary school places by the rise in the number of births to foreign-born mothers.
Yeah. Well,
it does something actually physically to me when I even say those words or hear them. You just know that she is stoking up racism with those words, because why else would you say foreign-born mothers like that?
Well, exactly. So I have two responses to her. Number one is that myself, Suella Braverman, Prime Minister Sunak, we are sons of foreign mothers, and we're proud of it, just as English people should be proud of their heritage.
So why does she say it? As if they're aliens and they're in a hostile environment and they're going to make life worse for native Brits. It's just, anyway. We'll talk more on this, but Hassan, we've got to go to the news now. And
Hassan in Slough in Berkshire. Hello.
Hi, Sangeeta. Hi. Now, a few points I want to make. Firstly, I was discussing with my 12-year-old daughter this morning about what Suella said about 1 in 5 children being born of foreign parents. I asked her what her thought was. Her reply was, "So what?" Which I thought was a very, very good reply.
How old is your daughter?
12.
Yeah. Sensible.
And I am proud to be, and I'm sure you are, Suella Braverman is, Rishi Sunak is, to be children of foreign-born parents. I'm a foreign-born father myself of my daughter. I was born in Bangladesh. I am I'm a very proud Bangladeshi and British, proud to be British. And you know my history. Your listeners know my history. I have been heavily politically involved. I have friends who are from diverse religions and cultures, so it's great. And the best response to Suella Braverman, I'm a staunch Tory. I totally disagree with what Braverman said. The best responses were from two ex-prime ministers who I look up to, David Cameron and Margaret Thatcher. David Cameron said in 2016, just reading here, our migrant communities are a fundamental part of who we are in Britain, is a far richer and stronger society because of them. And he says later, this is our island story, open, diverse and welcoming, and I'm proud of it. Margaret Thatcher said this in 1985, well before diversity and inclusion became a thing. She said, and Suella Braverman should listen to this, Britain is now, more than ever, a multicultural society, and I think that we are beginning to appreciate the challenges and the opportunities for learning that this diversity offers. We need not be afraid that these new influences will somehow threaten the British way of life. On the contrary, a new resilience derived from diversity can only strengthen Britain. Okay, that is the best response to Suella Braverman. Now, when we have an unprecedented number of Asians and blacks in high positions, Secretary of State and ministers, and even the Indian Prime Minister, which has happened under a Conservative government.
And yet she says multiculturalism has failed. And yet she says multiculturalism has failed. Yet surely, Hassan, she has benefited from it.
Well, that's exactly what I was about to say. Multiculturalism is not a failure. This is multiculturalism's finest hour. Now, we have a lot to celebrate here, and she's a result of multiculturalism. Now, you asked the question, why did she say what she did? Is it because she's bidding for leadership? Well, I don't know, but I hope to God that Rishi Sunak continues to be our Prime Minister after the next election, because if he does lose and Suella Braverman does become our leader, then I'll have to reconsider my position within the Tory party.
Hassan in Slough and Berkshire, thank you very much indeed. Active Conservative Tory party member saying that he entirely disagrees with Suella Braverman's perspective. Simon in Southampton, what's your take?
Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
Before I make my point, can I just point out that your caller Hassan that was very, very staunch Tory.
Yes.
And right. Okay,
and appalled, by the way, by Suella Braverman's comments.
Can I just point out to him that Sunak would have signed off on that speech, and Sunak is firing the guns, loading the guns that she's firing. So before you start throwing your weight behind him in support, he is complicit.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting. I've heard different versions of what happened. So his defenders will say, well, they signed off on the principle of the speech and the general tenor of it. And those people who are also political journalists will say, well, actually, he probably would have seen the text of it. So who knows? But anyway.